just want to quickly review some of the main points about how to use dimensional analysis. All right, so you may remember from chemistry, dimensional analysis is just a way to convert between units, and it allows us to really keep track of them very easily, so it makes more complex problems much more easier to solve. All right, so let's start with an easy problem now. How many inches are in 3 feet? So hopefully you either know this or you could figure it out pretty quickly, but it's good to start with the easy ones because then we can double check ourselves. All right, so what we want to do is first start with what we know. So in this problem, we're given 3 feet. So we're going to start by writing that down. Then we're going to put our conversion factor. So the conversion is just how you convert the 2 units. So how do you convert inches to feet? Well, we know there's 12 inches in 1 foot. So that's our conversion factor. And we're going to set that up like a fraction. All right, and depending on what you start with is how you actually set it up. So in this case, we're going to put it so that what you are looking for is going to be on the top. So we're looking for inches. So we're going to set it up so that we have 12 inches over 1 foot. All right, and this way, when we do our math, we can see it equals 36 inches, which is hopefully what you were looking for. And you'll note that the feet are diagonal from each other. So those units cross out, and we're left with inches. And that's then the unit of our answer. Okay, so important things to remember is always write your units, and I mean always. So in the middle of the problem, at the end of the problem, keep track of your units. And then the second thing is to always cross out. Go back because the units you cross out are the ones you're getting rid of. And you should be left with the units you're looking for. So you want to make sure you're not left with more than 1 unit, for instance, or you inadvertently put something down twice. Okay, so let's try it using the metric system. So this is another place that we use dimensional analysis quite frequently. So let's just review what our conversion factors are for the metric system. So you can use this as an example of a table. In this table, you could put a 1 before the prefixes, and then these numbers with the exponents are going to refer to your base units. So for example, 1 gigawatt equals 10 to the 9th watts. 1 kilometer equals 10 to the 3 meters. Okay, do you see how that works? All right, and these are ones you're just going to have to memorize. Generally, on the AP exam, they'll give you a lot of the conversions, but they really expect that you know how to use the metric system. All right, so let's start with some examples. How many millimeters are in 0.35 meters? All right, so we're starting with, here's what we know, 0.35 meters, and our conversion factor is going to go between meters and millimeters. And if we look on our chart, we can see milli means 10 to the minus 3. So if we write that again, now we know 1 millimeter equals 10 to the minus 3 meters. Our meters cross out, and you're left with millimeters, and that gives you 350 millimeters. Okay, here's another example. How many watts is 3 times 10 to the minus 3 megawatts? Okay, so remember mega is 10 to the 6th. So we're going to start with what we know. So here's our 3 times 10 to the minus 3 megawatts, right? Our conversion factor is going to be between megawatts and watts. So 1 megawatt is 10 to the 6 watts, right? And if you do the math, hopefully you get 3,000 watts. So note the megawatts cross out, and we're left with the unit that we want. Okay, all right, so those are one-step problems, but frequently you have to use more than 1 step. So let's look at some problems that require 2 steps. So you frequently encounter this when you're trying to convert metric systems, all right, because all our conversion factors went between the prefix and the base unit. So we need to know sometimes how to go between multiple units. So let's look at this problem. How many kilometers is 5 times 10 to the minus 2 gigameters? All right, do you remember what gigameters was? All right, so the first step is always to convert to the base unit. So we want 1 gigameter equals 10 to the 9th meters. Right? Gigameters crosses out, and you're left with meters. So now the second step is we're converting from meters to kilometers, which is what we're looking for. So again, we're looking for kilometers, so that winds up on top. All right, and now the meters cross out. And if we rewrite that with all the crossouts, you notice only kilometers is left. And we do the math, and we get 5 times 10 to the 4th kilometer. All right, so here are some examples to try on your own. So go ahead and pause the video, write them out. You can go back, check to see how we did set up the other ones, and see what answers you get. Okay, you done? So here are the answers. So you can pause it again if you need to go back and double check any or figure out where you went awry. And if you have questions, come see me. All right. But what I want to do next is now we've done 1 and 2. So let's do some multiple conversions. Okay. So here's a good one. How many seconds are in a day? And again, you could probably do this on your own, sort of step by step. But let's do it out using this dimensional analysis. So the first thing you want to do is you want to list any of the conversion factors that you think might be useful. So you're going to look for conversion factors that use seconds and day. So we know 1 day is 24 hours. We know 1 hour is 60 minutes. And we know 1 minute is 60 seconds. So what we want to do now is figure out how to use those to figure out our answer. So again, let's start out with 1 day. So here's our 1 day. Get rid of the day. So 1 day, 24 hours. The days cross out. Still in hours, so we're not to seconds yet. So 1 hour, 60 minutes. The hours cross out. Now we've got minutes. And then 1 minute is 60 seconds. The minutes cross out. And here we are left with the seconds, which is what we're looking for. And if you do the math, you should get this number. Okay? All right, so let's try another one. Now this one is a little tricky because instead of just looking for 1 unit, we're actually switching both the units. So we're going to go from 60 miles per hour to how many feet per second. So we want to see if we can convert miles to feet and hours to seconds. All right, but it's the same basic idea. And they're giving us 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. All right, so let's start out. What we know, 60 miles per hour, right? We're going to convert, first of all, I would use this, and let's convert our miles to feet. So 1 mile is 5,280 feet. The miles cross out, and now we've got feet per hour. So we've got feet, now we got to convert the hours to seconds. So now the cross out's going to be between this and this. So we have to put 1 hour is 60 minutes. So the hours cross out, all right? And now we've got 60 minutes, and we've got 1 minute equals 60 seconds. The minutes cross out. So now if we look for our units, we have feet over seconds, which is exactly what we want in the units of our answer. Okay, do you see how that works? And here is showing just all our crossouts, and you should get 88 feet per second. Okay, I like to approach these. I think these are actually fun to do, especially when you get really complicated ones that have a lot of units, is just think of it as a puzzle. As long as each conversion factor is correct, so as long as we know 1 hour is 60 minutes, you can't really go wrong because you go back and you cross the units out, right? So you just keep going till you get the units you're looking for. And they kind of become fun after a while. Trust me. All right, so just a note. While the concept is the same, people use different formats for doing this. So I use parentheses to show multiplication. I admit that's the way I learned way back when, so I tend to keep doing it. One of the examples you saw was actually written out that had like the multiplication sign written in. You could do it that way. Or sometimes you might see something like this, where instead of doing the parentheses, they're just sort of drawing these lines and implying the multiplication that way. So it's really the same thing. just set up differently. Find a way that you like. The important thing is that you know how to set it up so you can show how you get your answer, all right, and that you then use the correct math and wind up with the correct units, okay? All right, so now it's time to tackle some problems of your own, and feel free to refer back to this if you need a little reminder.